She said she needed space to find herself. But by day 3, she found someone else and posted him all over Instagram. I stared at the photo, heart pounding, hands trembling. This wasn't just betrayal. This was war. And she had no idea what I was about to do next. If you've ever been betrayed by someone you trusted, you're not alone. Comment below, subscribe for more real stories, and hit the like button if you believe in karma. When my wife Emily first mentioned the idea of a temporary separation, she framed it like a gift. Just 2 weeks, she said, to clear our heads, to see if we're still really us. Her voice was soft, almost rehearsed, like she'd been planning this conversation for weeks. At first, I was stunned. We'd been married 5 years. Sure, we had our problems, who doesn't? But I thought we were in it together. I never expected this sudden emotional ambush. I asked her, "Are you seeing someone else?" Her eyes widened, offended, but the delay in her answer said more than her words ever could. I just need space." We agreed. Reluctantly, I'd stay at a friend's place, and she'd remain in our apartment. We even hugged goodbye, a fake, cold hug, like strangers pretending they once meant something to each other. The first night away, I couldn't sleep. I replayed every fight, every quiet dinner, every distant look. My mind spiraled with questions. Was this really about space or an escape route? By the 3rd day, I got my answer. There she was, my wife, smiling in someone else's arms on her public Instagram. The caption? "Sometimes you have to let go to find something better." My chest tightened. This wasn't space. It was betrayal disguised as self-care. She didn't want time. She wanted a head start. But if she thought I'd quietly fade out of her life, she was about to be shocked. Because this wasn't the end of our story. It was just the beginning, and I had a plan she'd never see coming. The hours after seeing that post were a blur. I couldn't decide if I was more humiliated or enraged. I wanted answers, closure, something. So I did what anyone would do. I called her. No answer. I texted. Still nothing. She had ghosted me. My wife, the woman who once promised me forever, had vanished behind her own lies. I sat on the edge of my friend Josh's couch, phone in hand, staring at her last seen status on WhatsApp. She was online, active, laughing in someone else's comments, but not a word to me. Not a single damn word. That night, I didn't sleep either, but it wasn't grief anymore. It was something sharper, something colder. I started retracing our last few months in my head. The late nights at yoga, the sudden password change on her laptop, the way she always angled her phone screen away from me. The puzzle pieces were there. I just refused to connect them. Now, I couldn't unsee it. Emily hadn't just fallen out of love. She had plotted this, timed it perfectly. The 2-week break wasn't for healing. It was a smokescreen, a distraction while she jumped into someone else's bed, someone she'd probably been seeing long before she said anything to me. But what really lit the fire inside me was the comments under her post, people cheering her on, calling her brave, saying things like, "You deserve happiness, girl. Proud of you for moving on. Men never change." They didn't know me. They didn't know anything. But there they were, handing her sympathy, while she crushed me behind the scenes. And that's when it clicked. I could either fall apart or flip the script. So, I started planning. And what I had in mind, let's just say, her little fairy tale wasn't going to end how she expected. Because if she wanted to play this like a game, I was about to become the final level boss. I wasn't proud of what I did next, but I needed to know everything. I created a burner account. It took 2 minutes. A fake photo and a random username. Then I followed Emily's new boyfriend, or whatever the hell he was. His profile was public, and worse, so was hers now. She wasn't hiding anymore. She was flaunting it. There they were, beach selfies, cocktails at rooftop bars, matching hoodies like they were high school sweethearts. And all while I sat in my best friend's guest room, surrounded by boxes of my own clothes in trash bags. I felt humiliated, stripped of identity, like I'd been erased from her story. But as I scrolled deeper, I noticed something. Patterns. The guy, his name was Trevor, was tagged in photos going back weeks. 1, 2, 3 months ago, while we were still working on things, while I was still taking her to dinner, while I was still paying half the mortgage on our house. She'd already moved on. Emotionally, physically, hell, she probably moved on before she even suggested the separation. That test wasn't a test at all. It was a setup. But what she didn't count on was me documenting everything. I started screenshotting everything. Every post, every comment, every photo timestamp. And I noticed something else. Trevor didn't work. Some boring 9 to 5. No, he was part of a flashy media startup. Small team, big image. The kind of company that cared deeply about reputation and clean branding. That gave me an idea. I wasn't going to scream online. I wasn't going to beg her to come back. I was going to wait, watch her build this new life, and then pull the rug out from underneath it. But to do that, I needed more than screenshots. I needed leverage. I started waking up early, not because I couldn't sleep, but because I had something to do. Every morning, while the world still dozed off in comfort, I was on my laptop, digging, researching, planning. Trevor's company had a flashy website full of buzzwords: authentic, transparent, built on trust, cute, even cuter, a tab for potential investors, and PR partnerships. I scrolled through everything they'd published: videos, blogs, interviews. Trevor himself appeared in a podcast, bragging about the company's clean culture, saying how they only work with people of integrity. I bookmarked that video because the guy my wife cheated with, yeah, he wasn't exactly squeaky clean. His Instagram told one story, but LinkedIn told another. 2 former colleagues had posted cryptic messages months ago, passive-aggressive rants about credit theft, toxic ego, and manipulative charmers. No names mentioned. But when I reached out privately to one of them, I got a short reply: "If you're asking about Trevor, good luck. You'll need it." That was all I needed to keep going. I didn't want to destroy Trevor just for dating my wife. That would be childish. I wanted the world to see exactly who he was. Not just for me, but for the people he'd trampled, to build his little glass tower. But here's the thing about planning revenge. It doesn't numb the pain. I still had flashbacks, Emily's laughter echoing in my head, her hands slipping from mine that last night, her cold kiss on my cheek, like I was already dead to her. But I wasn't dead. I was awake, and I was sharpening every single piece of this betrayal into something I could use. What she didn't know was that while she played house with Trevor, I was turning their love story into a loaded gun, and I was almost ready to pull the trigger. I created a new email, a name they wouldn't recognize. Then I subscribed to every newsletter, every business update Trevor's company released. I wasn't stalking, I was studying. Emily had always underestimated my patience. But I could wait, quietly, while they posted curated photos of beach dates and fake candid boardroom shots. I was building a case, piece by piece. Their timeline didn't match. According to their social media posts, they met by chance 3 weeks after Emily and I separated. But I remembered seeing a notification, an airdrop attempt from Trevor's iPhone, a full month before that. Emily had laughed it off. Now I knew why. She was grooming the exit long before she suggested the separation. Trevor wasn't some post-breakup rebound. He was the plan all along. The more I looked, the more cracks I saw. Photos where Emily wore jewelry I'd given her while in his apartment. Captions where Trevor made subtle digs at men who don't support strong women. I was the invisible villain in their love story. But here's the thing about building castles on lies. They don't need bulldozers to collapse. Just the right pressure point. And I had found one. Trevor's company had recently secured a deal with a wellness brand built on a strict moral code. I checked the brand's founder. She was loud on Twitter about ethics and employee treatment. I smiled, because I had screenshots from Trevor's past. Old tweets, DMs, emails, forwarded by a brave former colleague who finally responded to me with one chilling line. I'm tired of him getting away with it. Do what you need to do. I wasn't going to send anything yet. Not yet. Because the best kind of revenge is the kind that slowly unravels everything they worked for, and they never see it coming. I wrote it like a journalist would. Short sentences, verified facts, links to proof, no opinions, no emotion, just truth. I sent it from an anonymous burner account. No subject line, no signature, just one sentence. You should know who you're partnering with. Attached, screenshots of Trevor's crude messages to female interns. Archived tweets from 2014 that no rebrand could bury. A leaked email chain where he mocked the very values the wellness brand claimed to uphold. I didn't expect a reply, but within 48 hours, Trevor's face disappeared from the brand's collaboration page. Their PR account posted a vague commitment to integrity statement. And Trevor? He posted nothing. No smug selfies, no motivational quotes. Just silence. I knew he was panicking behind the scenes. Because the worst kind of exposure is the kind you can't fight. There was no one to sue, no name to trace, no clear enemy to confront. Emily posted a photo of them at brunch, probably damage control. Her smile looked strained. His eyes? Tired. Hollow. But I wasn't done. That was just the crack. Now I needed the collapse. So I waited again. Not days. Weeks. In the meantime, I built a small website. Nothing flashy. Just a timeline. Dates, posts, photos, glaring inconsistencies between her relationship with me and the timeline of Trevor's surprise romance. It was undeniable, and I had a plan for exactly when to share it. But not yet. Because timing is everything. And their biggest celebration of the year was just around the corner, Trevor's company's 5th anniversary gala. With press, sponsors, cameras. They were going to toast their success in front of everyone. And that's exactly when I'd make sure everyone knew what it was really built on. The 5th anniversary gala was held at an art museum downtown. High ceilings, glass walls, string quartet, people in tailored suits, sipping champagne like liquid gold. Trevor stood near the podium, polished and smug, basking in applause as sponsors and influencers swarmed him. Emily wore a velvet green dress, hand in his, smile bright, but eyes scanning the room. Almost like she knew, but she didn't know when or how. And that was my power. I wasn't there in person. That would have been dramatic, but reckless. Instead, I had someone else there, a contact I trusted. He worked sound at the venue and owed me a favor. 30 minutes into the event, just as the lights dimmed for Trevor's keynote speech, my site went live. The title page was simple. The real timeline, built on lies. No ads, no fluff, just dates, screenshots, receipts. And then I triggered the second part. As Trevor stepped on stage, the event's LED backdrop flickered. It was subtle, almost glitchy. Then the images changed. First, a smiling selfie of Trevor with Emily, dated 2 weeks before our separation. Gasps echoed. Then a screenshot of him calling his intern office dessert in a private message. Silence. Then, static. Cut to black. A moment later, the planned company promo video resumed, but the room had already shifted. Whispers, phones out, eyes wide. Trevor faltered mid-sentence. Emily stared at the screen like she'd seen a ghost. My contact texted me one word. Done. Outside, social media had exploded. The site was being shared on Reddit, Twitter, even LinkedIn, accompanied by hashtags like #BuiltOnLies and #WellnessFraud. Trevor finished his speech, but it was limp, robotic, like a man reading a eulogy for his own empire. By the time the event ended, half the sponsors had ghosted him. And Emily? She wasn't holding his hand anymore. The morning after the gala, Trevor's PR team scrambled like ants in a fire. I watched the chaos unfold from my laptop with a coffee in hand, calm, collected. Every news outlet was picking it up. Wellness, CEO exposed in gala sabotage scandal. Screenshots reveal lies behind rising startup. Reddit threads dissected every detail from the site. TikToks were reenacting Emily's stunned face. Even Twitter's vultures were feasting, mocking Trevor's authentic leadership posts. But the real moment came later that day. Emily posted a statement on her Instagram. Black background, white text. I was blindsided. I believed in Trevor. I believed in us. I now realize I was lied to, just like everyone else. I apologize to those hurt by my silence. She turned off comments. But the message was clear. Trevor wasn't just exposed, he was alone. Behind closed doors, according to someone I knew who still worked at the company, Emily confronted him in the office. She screamed, cried, asked him, was any of it real? And Trevor, cornered and defeated, finally told the truth. Not really. Just 3 words. That's all it took for her to walk out. She moved out of the penthouse they shared by the end of the week, took her dog, left the rest. Trevor tried damage control, firing interns, blaming internal leaks, calling the site a malicious fabrication. But it was too late. Screenshots don't lie, timelines don't forget. The board of investors called an emergency meeting. A vote was held. Trevor was suspended. Pending investigation, they said. But we all knew he was finished. And while his world burned, mine began to rebuild. Quietly, privately, but not without satisfaction. A week passed. The news cycle was still hot, but the fire had moved from public fury to corporate fallout. Trevor was suspended. Investors were scrambling to protect what little brand integrity remained. And Emily, she disappeared from the public eye. But I wasn't done yet. There was one last move. I'd been holding on to a letter. Handwritten. Simple. Elegant. I mailed it directly to Trevor's parents. You see, they'd always believed he was a visionary. They paraded his success like a trophy at every family gathering. They never knew the foundation was built on lies, manipulation, and stepping on people like me. So I told them everything, but not with bitterness, not with anger. I wrote it like a confession, like someone who just wanted to be heard. I included timelines, screenshots, and even the cruel things he'd said to me behind closed doors. I wasn't asking them to choose sides. I was just showing them the man their son really was. 3 days later, I got a text from Trevor. It was short. You really had to drag them into this? No rage, no denial, just shame. He knew it was over. The public fallout was one thing, but the quiet disappointment of the people who once worshipped him, that was a wound that would never heal. And that's when I knew. This wasn't about revenge anymore. It was about reclaiming my narrative. He built his empire pretending to be someone better than me. And in the end, he lost everything while I walked away with something far more valuable than money or followers. Self-respect. But there was still one more thing I needed to say. To you, the funny thing about revenge is, It never really looks the way you imagine it. There were no fireworks, no dramatic showdowns, no screaming matches in boardrooms. Just silence. Trevor's company folded within 6 months. The investors bailed. The scandal made it into a few business magazines before it was replaced by the next corporate disaster. Emily? She tried to reach out once. An email. I didn't know what he was doing to you. I thought you were just being sensitive. I didn't reply. Because by then, I didn't need to. I had started my own agency. Something small. Something honest. And with every step, I built it on values they laughed at. Kindness. Loyalty. Transparency. You'd be surprised how hungry the world is for those things. And people came. Not because I begged them to, but because I finally stood for something. For myself. Sometimes, late at night, I think back to that moment, standing outside the company I helped build, hearing Trevor's voice echo in my mind. We don't hire failures like you. And I smile. Because the truth is, I didn't just leave that company. I left behind the version of me that needed their approval to feel worthy. And that was the real win. If you've ever been underestimated, dismissed, or made to feel like you weren't enough, I want to hear your story. Drop it in the comments below. What's the most satisfying moment of your revenge arc? And hey, if this story hit you in the gut, give it a like, hit that subscribe button, and don't forget to share it with someone who needs to hear this. Because sometimes, walking away is the most powerful move of all.